This is my guitar section. I'm going to give you a rundown on all the gear I have, which is quite a bit. This was the guitar I started with. It's a first act, if you can see, first act acoustic guitar. I think my grandma got it at Walmart for like 20 bucks or something. It's a very cheap guitar, but I played with this for, well, I say I started learning last spring, but in 2009 I started. But I knew chords before that a little bit because my dad plays guitar. But that was when I really started. So November was when I got my electric, which I'll show you in a minute. So I played with this for probably 3 years, 4 years. I'm not completely sure. I would definitely advise getting a cheap acoustic, or, well, no, don't get an electric to start off with. I mean, you can, it's been done, but you definitely need to learn things on acoustic that help going into electric. That's how I learned. That's what my dad always said. My dad always said you must learn on acoustic before electric, so I toughed it out and listened to him, and he was right. If I hadn't played on acoustic and got my finger strength up before I played on electric, I would have never been able to do some of the things I can now. So definitely get something like this cheap acoustic, or maybe a cheap electric. Let me show you my electric. This is my electric right here. It's still relatively cheap. It's a Squire, which is made by Fender. Telecaster, but it's an Affinity Telecaster. I think I said that right. It's just like your standard Telecaster. For you who don't know Telecasters out there, Telecasters are known for their brightness. So things like Brad Paisley's stuff. He's definitely my favorite guitarist, and in my opinion, the best. Brad Paisley's stuff is very bright, much less so than like a Les Paul or really anything like that. It's a solid body electric, and what Fender does, which Squire is not a separate company than Fender, Fender bolts their guitar necks into the bodies themselves, which gives them a brighter tone. So even the Stratocasters, which I'm planning to get one soon, Stratocasters have you can get a pretty bright sound out of them. Not as bright as a Tele, but close. So it has a 3-way pickup selector and 2 pickups, alright, which the back is the brighter bridge pickup, okay, and the front is the more like a softer, mellower, almost blues sort of thing. And the middle is sort of a combination of both. To me, it sounds more soft than bright on the middle one, but you could change that up if you wanted to. And there's also on the back here, this knob controls. It's sort of similar to the pickup selector. It controls how bright or not so bright you want it. And then this middle knob is your volume. I definitely love this guitar. After you play on an acoustic, this is what I'd go to. Something like this. If you're gonna go into the rock, I'm partial to Fenders, so I would go with probably if you're not gonna go with the Tele, I would go with the Stratocaster. Ibanez makes some similar to the Strat, which you can get. I think they're cheaper, but I'm still partial to the Strat. I just like the Strat better than anything else. So you know, Ibanez makes, so does Fender actually. They put out package deals with guitars and amps and chords and all the stuff you need to get started with your electric guitar, and that's a definite option. It's not what I did. The local music store here sort of put together a package deal for me, which was really kind of them. So anyway, enough about this. I have this, and when I got my electric, I also got this Ibanez amp, okay, and it has basic controls, which for an amp, I mean, this is what you need to get started. After you sort of learn how they work, then you can get something better, but this is what you need to get started. Something similar to this. Small, relatively inexpensive. So basically you have your gain, which, I turn that on. That's what gives you that hard rock sound. And it's good for certain things, like Smoke on the Water. Or other things. I mean, I'm not going to play everything you can, but you know, that's where you get your hard sound, and that's good for some things. I don't always like it, but then you have your volume. So you have, on my setup, I have two selectors for volume. One is on the amp and one is on the guitar. Then you have just your three equalization, that's what they call it, knobs for bass, middle, and treble, which treble is a higher pitch, so let me show you here. I turn bass and middle all the way down and treble up. Whoops. That sort of gives you your bright sound. Then if you turn bass and treble down, all the way down, and middle up, that's sort of the middle. So for rhythm things, that's what I would use for rhythm things. I mean, you can put in other things. And then you have your bass, which when you combo bass with gain, you're gonna get, if you don't have gain, it's very, very warm. So you know, you sort of get that blues, maybe even jazz sort of feel to it. But for rock, you definitely want gain and bass. And the way I had it a minute ago, I had bass and middle all the way up and treble down, and it just sounds beautiful. One thing I found with this telly is that I can do anything with it. I can go from sweet Brad Paisley sort of country licks to hard rock sounds, and it's really cool. I love this guitar. I'm not planning on getting rid of this at all. I will save this and probably have it for forever. I love this. It's definitely worth the money.